But I think we need to start by looking at what is a personal statement and what is the main difference between a personal statement and a statement of purpose. So when we are to make this distinction, I think the largest distinction is really about what you see there, what you want to do versus who you are as a person and as a student. So a personal statement is going to be less formal and more personal. It's going to be more telling a story rather than focusing kind of in a more formal fashion on your academic background, your career goals, your academic goals, research fits, different research interests. Is going to be much more of a focus of your statement of purpose. And so really thinking about the goal of the personal statement should help guide you in terms of writing that actual statement itself. We can go to the next slide, Sandra, there. So when looking at comparing these two, a personal statement versus a statement of purpose, ultimately, both of them are really serving the same goal for the admissions committee. And that's essentially to convince them that you are a good fit for the program, that you're gonna be a good match for the program, and that you have a high chance of being successful in the program to which you are applying. So as I mentioned, many programs are using these terms interchangeably. And so it's very important to refer to the specific program for any instructions about what they want. If there's any kind of vagueness, if you're not sure, if the program doesn't specifically list out, what they want in terms of the content, if they specifically want a personal statement versus a statement of purpose, if that's not clearly listed on their website, I encourage you to use that as an opportunity to reach out to the departmental contacts that you do have, which are generally, graduate program advisors or graduate program managers, they're typically called, and they're the kind of the more administrative side of departments. For clarification, it's a great way to kind of initiate conversation with the departments. And then where all else fails, or where you are not able to communicate with someone at a university or don't have clarity, I say in general, you always want to err on, if you're asked to submit only one statement, to assume that really what they're looking for is the statement of purpose. I think it's safer to err on that side of really fitting the goals of the statement of purpose, because a statement of purpose is really the type of document that's going to enable you to receive funding. And I'm sure that's something Mary will be able to speak more at length about when she goes a little bit more in depth about statements of purpose. But I think that it's kind of best understood when you look at it in a concrete example. I think we will, actually first we'll talk a few kind of key, what I think are important notes, kind of key steps when writing a personal statement. And one is first and foremost, really the point of the personal statement when it's asked for, kind of very particularly asked for a personal statement in addition to or in lieu of a statement of purpose, is that they're wanting you to tell a story. They want that personal statement to essentially be like an interview, be a way for you to really show who you are, and so it's really an opportunity for you to show off your creative side. If you're a creative writer, this is where you really you have a little bit more free reign in terms of the structure and content to really tell a more compelling story. And so that's why you see in personal statements are typically requested from programs that that have a focus on your own personal, what you're going to bring to the program. So a lot of our programs that are asking for personal statements are what we call cohort-based programs. So these are programs where students are all starting together and moving through the same series of courses together. And in those programs, the dynamic between students and students' personal qualities are very important. So that's why they really want to get to the core of kind of who you are, what's motivating you, what's driving you to apply to this program. And so that's where you really do want to focus on those specific motivations in a personal statement. You also, this is a really, really great opportunity for you to address any shortcomings, either apparent or some that you feel you may have in your application, be them grades, maybe you had a semester or a year that was difficult, maybe this past year of COVID really put a strain on your education, restricted your ability to conduct research, maybe just interrupted just general education flow or the ability to take exams, other life events or challenges that you've had to overcome, really with the opportunity of using those challenges as an example to emphasize the positive, to emphasize really here what they are asking for from the lens of the admissions committee is how is this student going to how are they going to address the challenges that they're inevitably going to face in a graduate program, which all graduate programs are going to challenge you on some level, academically, personally, professionally. So you really want to use this as an opportunity to show how you face those challenges and overcome them and use really kind of specific examples. And that's where I say don't overlook the basics. You don't want to write super generic. You really do want to focus on, specific details. You want to be very authentic. Don't have, someone else write it for you. You don't want to write something that doesn't reflect who you are as a person, but you're writing it because you think that's what they want to hear. You really do want that authenticity, which does come across when these faculty are reading these documents, to be demonstrated in your statement of purpose. And you really, really just don't overlook those other basics. Read the instructions. What are the word limits? Not every, it's not always common in every educational system to have to write under a specific word limit. But that actually can be one of the more challenging aspects of writing these personal statements, is how do you tell a compelling story in a short amount of space? And that's actually something that they are specifically going to be looking towards. Like, can this student tell a compelling story within the constraints of 500 or 750 words or 1,000 words or whatever the department may be asking for? And again, most importantly, don't forget to proofread and edit, especially if you're applying to a program that's going to be very writing based. They will for sure be looking at writing style and just your general ease at writing and clarity of communication. That might be a little bit less emphasized if you're applying to like a PhD program in mechanical engineering, for example, but still they're going to be expecting that you have the basics of grammar, writing, and the ability to proofread and edit down. And then I will just finish with, as I mentioned, I think these become a lot clearer when we look at them in context of concrete examples. So here we have a very unique program called Masters of the Environment, which is, as I mentioned, is a cohort-based program. So all students move through the program together. It's a 2-year-long program that has academic components, but also kind of placement components where you're working in either nonprofits or government agencies in the specific fields of interest. So this department is asking for both a statement of purpose, which is wanting you to describe your educational and professional goals and how they fit into the program, and the specific specialization in which you're choosing. And I'm certain Mary will address that in greater detail when talking about the statement of purpose, but really that's where you want to be spending time on the departmental websites, finding research center names, professor names, different projects, research highlights, reading the departmental news that's coming out. But then the personal statement here, you can see, is really asking you about who you are as a person. It's caring less about your specific courses you've taken and your specific research interests, but more about who you are as a person and how you're going to fit into this program. And that's where you have the ability to really kind of demonstrate and tell that story that I had previously discussed. And here you see this department's giving you 2 different opportunities to really show and be able to talk about who you are. So again, I think that just re-emphasizes the fact that the personal statement in general is going to be a lot less formal and give you a lot freer reign in terms of the topic and subject matter that you discuss, and really focusing more on, again, that personal, not so much about what you want to do, but about who you are and how who you are is motivating you to apply to this program. So I think with that concludes my initial portion of the presentation. I'll pass it on to Mary now.